All right, everyone. Welcome to Trophy Lounge. This is our episode 5. We are officially on our way to losing our first tooth. Once again, I have Kryptonite Dragon with me.
Hello.
When he's there, you go. All right. And once again, I don't know what's going on. I have audio issues. Maybe it's because I have a Dell computer. Maybe it's because I don't know. The universe doesn't like me. But audio issues again, so we are recording this a tad bit late if we have any live listeners, because this is our first week actually going live. So if anybody's listening right now, sorry, we're about 19 minutes late.
My fault.
And you know what? It happens. That's more my fault. Actually, it's more Dell's fault. Let's put the blame on Dell, and I'll be satisfied with that. But Kryptonite, what have you been up to?
Well, actually, I bought some games the other day. Been kind of spending a lot of time looking forward to what I'm going to be buying through the rest of the year, and working my tail off. Stuff with the site in the background related to advertising, getting ads, stuff with bank accounts, and getting everything set up. Bunch of boring
What
stuff
games?
that you don't see.
What games did you buy?
Well, actually, I pre-ordered The Last of Us. Purchased Rage, which came out actually quite a long time ago. It's a Bethesda game. Been playing that a little bit with one of my sons, and then
Hmm.
tried to sell a bunch of games that I thought were relatively new that I could get some money for, but no dice.
Who do you try to sell it with?
I went to the local GameStop.
And that's why it was no dice.
Yeah, it
Have
was.
you tried Amazon?
Well, no, I used to do the eBay thing. There were times though where when you're done with shipping and everything like that, you could still get a decent price from GameStop or some of these other places, and you could justify, saving time. For example, I have a membership pass which gives you sometimes like 30% and 50% extra towards
Hmm.
the purchase of certain games or whatever. And well, it seems like all that's coming to an end when you take in Call of Duty Black Ops and they say, we'll give you $4 or $5 for it. You're like, I'll just keep it for that, thank you.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of ridiculous. I say try your Craigslist, things like that.
yeah, I like your idea of like just trading straight up for another game. Might have to give that a shot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I do it. But I mean, it just depends on, like, the way I do it is I go on Craigslist and I actually look for the game that I want, and then if someone has it, I'll see what they're asking for. If they're asking for money or if they're asking for a trade, because usually if they're asking for a trade, it's easier to just email them and say, okay, well I have this. So,
Hmm.
but it's up to your discretion. I always do it in public. Once again, I don't want to get killed over a game. It's
Yeah,
like a
meet me
public
in the
library or
dark alley
something.
behind, and I'll trade you this game.
Exactly. It's like it's not really worth it.
Yeah.
Well, from my end, actually, I have been pretty busy. Like in terms of work and all that, that's never going to change. But I'm trying to do things outside of my job because I don't like my job, of course. But I've been writing a lot. Technically, this has been about a month. About a month ago, I wrote something for a magazine, and I'm starting to hear some feedback for it. It's not a gaming magazine. It's actually a CrossFit magazine. I told you guys I have these two opposite passions, CrossFit and video games. Um, and then other than that, I've been trying to keep up with the news and gaming. Gaming news has been kind of lackluster for a while.
It's been the same topics lately.
Exactly. So it's like
Xbox
it's
and
kind of hard to find something new to like, bring to the public. So that part sucks. But I mean, we definitely have. There's been some new stuff as of late. That's pretty exciting.
yeah.
Um, I went to my friend's birthday was about 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So last week, or technically it was this week. It was like Sunday this week. I took her to see a psychic. which
Okay.
I thought was going to be a complete shit, like just garbage. But technically, for what my friend said, she knew some things. So I'm gonna go see her now. I'm pretty excited about that.
Hmm.
Um, that's pretty much it. I had a very boring week for the most part.
Hmm. So what's in your future here with gaming? What are you gonna purchase The Last of Us?
I don't know about The Last of Us simply because I know it's not a zombie game, but I'm not really into the whole survival. I just don't know what they're really trying to do with this game. I haven't played the demo yet. If I got my hands on the demo, then I'll decide. The only game that I'm like for sure gonna buy that's in the future is Beyond Two Souls.
Wow. Hmm. Okay. Yeah,
What about
I
you?
love the whole post-apocalyptic. I'm that's one of my I'm a fan of that whole concept. So
So
even
over it.
have the theme club. My theme club on Trophies on PSN actually revolves around post-apocalyptic games, and so yeah, it's one of those things. Like I just have this thing for them, and um, my birthday is the 21st of December, which of course the world was supposed to end.
Right.
I don't know. It's not necessarily that, but I think I like the idea of like it taking you outside of just a normal combat, normal shooter. That stuff gets old fast, man.
Yeah.
So they just really need to exercise their brains as developers and publishers and put stuff out that's more creative. What's missing is a good police related video game
Like
where you're
what?
actually
Like cops?
solving crimes and stuff. Yeah, like I'm a cops video game, something like that. That would be good. Doing something, where sci-fi shooters are starting to become a little bit, more prominent. But I don't know. And then the things like it's like Mass Effect. Mass Effect had this unique sci-fi. You had some powers. You had guns. You had spaceships that you're flying around on. Those kind of things. That intrigues me. I'd rather play that, and that's probably why I'm kind of a Bethesda fanboy because they do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Rage, Fallout, all these things.
See, I'm pretty simple. Like, just give me an action game, and I'm happy. So, or like a RPG, action RPG, I'm happy. I don't really. I do want some innovation, but I'm not gonna like force it on any developers to like make it happen as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like Watch Dogs, like that's a game that I'm looking at. Like, okay, that's something pretty innovative. You took the whole sandbox idea and revolved it around, with the information age that we live in. That's pretty exciting.
Mhm. Yep. I mean,
But
it stems to like Grand Theft Auto and why I like that series because it's not just a military shooter. It's kind of like mafia. I mean, I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. I like the stories
uh,
with them. I wish
well, I
Bethesda
mean,
would get rid of the load screens. But
oh, that's not gonna happen. Games are
it
way too
probably will with
huge.
PS4.
Maybe.
Maybe they'll figure out how
I
to load
think
stuff in
the
the
other
background.
thing, I mean, at least with those type of games like sandbox games, GTA, I just like to live outside the norm. Like I'm never gonna walk outside in real life and steal a car. But to kind of get that feeling through the game, it's pretty exciting.
Well, I mean, video games are supposed to be fantasy. Hopefully, nobody would take that stuff up to, you know, being something real. And hopefully
Well,
nobody'd make a game about anything that would, copy 9/11 or school shooting scenario or anything like that. That would be...
that happened before. I mean, they're like PC games. Somebody did a Columbine game.
Oh,
Yeah,
good way to draw negative attention.
it was definitely in poor taste.
Poor taste. But no, I like
So
them. I like them. Post-apocalyptic's way to go.
so coming up on this podcast, for this episode, excuse me, And I apologize if I sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Angry. It's because I am. I'm just sick of my audio being messed up. I'm so tired of this, people. You have no idea. But in terms of this episode, I was looking through the forums, and I did find a very interesting topic, and it's perfect for this week. It was done by 50 Quid for all things E3.
Mm-hmm.
Now there wasn't that much activity in the forum, which hopefully before E3 comes and during the E3 show, maybe it does get a little more hyped up. But just so you know, for Sony and actually for almost all the major platforms, they will be airing on. They'll be having their big presentation on Monday, June 10th. Now on the forum, it showed that Nintendo canceled, which that's true, and at the same time, there's other information that counteracts that. They did cancel. There's not going to be a big presentation from Nintendo on June 10th, but there will be a presentation the next day on June 11th. That is kind of like their own solo presentation. Uh, what do you think about that? Good or bad?
Well, yeah, the way I read it, they're doing a bunch of smaller presentations actually throughout E3. But yeah, I think I read it when they were releasing it. It was part of a uh, kind of a press release, basically on their financial standing. And I got the feeling from all the stuff that I heard at the time that not only was it a better financial move in terms of not having to pay for this large event, but then there was
Hmm.
also, the whole thing that they didn't think E3 had their, what's the term I'm looking for? Their type of customer. So,
That's well, I that does almost kind of make sense. And just so you know, people, if we all hear in the background, it's a telephone. We're gonna ignore it. But that does make sense. I mean, with Nintendo is kind of like the family game consumer now.
yeah, I mean,
Like
we looked
once
at the
like the
Wii stats, and it was like old people and young kids, and like that's probably not people that are watching E3. So,
right. So I don't think I think that is a smarter move. Um, but I mean, they will be showcasing the Wii U because, like, I think you already mentioned this. I don't know if it was in the forum or if you just mentioned it again, but like the Wii U is already out. It's been out. That is their next generation console for the most part. So it's kind of just like, what can we do to get our sales up again from last year this coming Christmas? And they're probably going to present themselves uh, as like the easier option. If you're too bogged down by PS4 this and Xbox One that, and you're not sure what to get, come get a Wii U.
hmm
Which I think that's pretty smart. I mean, they have some things set to like they're set to announce a price drop in the Wii U, which also it can be a huge thing because there's some things that we don't hear from Sony and from Microsoft at E3, which of course is the pricing, which is one of the things that we need to hear. Then them presenting a price drop is going to be huge for them. But they're also going to release some, I think, 4 Wii U games. They're going to showcase them at E3. Now, this is not anything that we've seen before, anything we even heard of. Technically, I think one of them is a Zelda game. That's what I heard. That's what I read. Not sure, maybe. But also another good thing about this is that it's not going to be just for the E3 VIP people. There's going to be particular Best Buys in the area who will also, I'm sorry, around the country, excuse me, who will also be presenting these Wii U games. And I don't have any information yet on which Best Buys they are or what areas that they're in. That's just something I got from Nintendo's E3 website.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Which I mean that's pretty interesting. They're kind of thinking outside the box, not doing the normal E3 thing. So they're kind of getting attention in their own way,
Yeah.
which is I mean I think that's smart. I don't know. It's smart, but it does kind of put Nintendo in this space where it's like, which technically they said it. It's E3 is not our type of gamer, or the gamers or our audience, and it's kind of like, well, you're kind of putting yourself in a smaller section of of all the consumers.
And we talked, the last podcast. I spoke to Dante about this. I think there's some realization that I think people need to have too, that with the Wii controller, we're not talking about them offering, a standard type of controller and targeting those kind of games. They're unique in that their accessories and their add-ons, like the Wii U, with the tablet thing that it comes with it.
Hmm.
Those can make for some unique game types, but then the standard game type too is not really represented there. And I think that you got to realize, if you're a company like Nintendo, it's like your system's not even on the same path as the other ones. The move and things like that, those kind of things are additions that you can get, and there's games that you can target towards them if you choose to. But, if you're going to sit down and play Call of Duty, this was the example I used before. If you're going to sit down and play Call of Duty, you don't want to have to be using, any kind of gun. You don't want to have to be flailing your arms around and stuff like that to do it. You don't
Right.
want to be using some non-standard controller. Like when I play with the Wii, I play a lot of kids games and stuff with my kids, and it's actually a system that my mother owns, and she's 70 years old. It's great for simulating a golf club, simulating a tennis racket, all that stuff, bowling, but you can't see those kind of games and stuff. You can't see playing a different kind of game where you just sit with a controller in your hand, because those kind of controllers are not, they're not
Yeah,
not the same kind of thing.
I think it's just something, like, at least with the Wii, it kind of came out. It definitely came out with like a splash because it was new technology,
Hmm.
new controller types, yada yada yada. But as gamers, I don't think we're quite there yet. With, like, I don't know, like the Wii to me kind of gave birth to the Kinect and gave birth to the PS Move, but the PS Move and the Kinect are still trying to find a way to make it so that people who also play Call of Duty can integrate the Kinect with it, or integrate the Move with it. The Wii is kind of like, okay, now that we got this, what are we going to do with it? And they were kind of unsure, and it kind of became like the game system for the older generation and the really young generation.
Hmm.
Because, like, my friend has a Wii, and her daughter uses it simply for Netflix. Like, they got it, I think, for Christmas, and they played it. They played bowling and tennis for like a month, and then after that, it was just like, okay, well, let's just use this for Netflix. And I've used it for Netflix when I was over at the house, and to me, it sucks. Like, it's the remote control's all shaky. Well, technically, it's not shaky. I'm the one who's shaky, but it's picking it up. And it's like, when I'm using Netflix on my PS3, it's just like I'm playing a video game almost. I can use the directional pad and X and O. I don't know, the Wii and the Wii U. I have no experience with the Wii U, so I don't want to like talk that much about it. But I just feel like they came out hoping for like a big bang, and then it ended up being like a kind of like a firecracker.
Hmm.
I mean, guarantee around Christmas they're gonna probably sell a lot, especially depending on the price of the Xbox One and the PS4. They're probably gonna sell a lot of systems, but that's gonna taper off, I bet, prior to the end of quarter one of 2014, because your their games are so limited.
Hmm.
Even people who do have the Wii U and the Wii, like when they play like classic games like Zelda, or games like that have been rebooted like Zelda, it's fun for a while, but then it gets kind of confusing and it gets kind of annoying. Or when they're playing classic games like Super Mario and you like turn the controller horizontal, it's fun for a while. Like it's like a good callback to your childhood, but then that tapers off too. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to live in 2014 playing a game from 1989.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with like looking back, like Atari. I broke up my Atari years ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is so fun to play all these again." But then it's very quick that you're like, "Well, this is so outdated." And the
Right. It's
you got
a
your
brief nostalgia.
joystick with like one controller handle that you grasped with your entire hand and a little button to fire up.
Exactly.
That was it, and you're just like, "Wow."
Which like when we were younger, it was like everything felt bigger, of course, when you were younger, and it was like the edge of the newest technology,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of like you know what happens in the future, so it's like why am I playing this shitty game when I can play Call of Duty or I can play whatever because I know what's gonna happen 10 years from now, and then 10 years from that. I know where we're going, so this is kind of a waste of my time. Like, it's only nostalgic for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I've got kind of just wide-ranging tastes, but I've settled on that I don't want to return to PC gaming. I love PlayStation. I was going to give Xbox a shot, but now I'm completely 180 degrees the other direction.
Mm. Was
Um,
that because of the Xbox One announcement?
yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't want anything TV. I watch so little TV. I watch it on my own time. I don't watch live TV, like, hardly ever. If I watch 1 hour of live TV a week, I'd be surprised.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm the same way. But I mean, at the same time, um, it may be something that they just did, which we talked about this on the last podcast, and I'm sure you and Dante did too. It may be something that they just wanted to get the attention of the non-gamers
yeah,
first, and then when E3 comes, that's when they're gonna, hit you with all the games
yeah.
and all the stuff they can do. So I mean, I wouldn't, if you're willing to give Xbox a try, I wouldn't close the door on them just yet.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to there's got to be something to pull me, even to a second console because it's like, I know there's games that are on PC that are not available anywhere else. Um, I have plenty of PCs and that can run modern games, but then there's that whole system. There's a community on PlayStation that I'm used to, and where my friends are, and there's obviously with the site and everything like that, I'm on track that's kind of my favorite. It's just to pull you off even to getting a second console, there has to be a really good reason, and you know um, I don't know. I can't see like you know the Wii and everything like that. I just I don't know. I wouldn't do it. Even if my kids were like, well, I'm gonna play Wii games. It's like why get some move games or something, and you can do what seems to be a lot more things with it. Just buy the accessory. It's cheaper than the whole Wii system, and well, it might not
Yeah,
have the same kind of games, but it's got other games that have better graphics and more focus on gaming over instead of just a device.
right. I'm completely satisfied. Like already right now, I'm satisfied with my PS3, which I am gonna get a PS4, but I'm just satisfied with what Sony brings to the table in general.
uh, be interesting to see. So what about
Yeah, I'm
games?
definitely going to be paying attention on June 10th. I do want to see what everybody's bringing to the table because that's just being a smart consumer. But plus our business technically is video games.
Hmm.
But I'm dead set on getting the PS4. I don't see myself trading for a different system.
Hmm. Yep. So speaking of which, what kind of games have you played on the PS3? What kind of stuff are you looking forward to on the PS4? What differences, what are you hoping to see? And let's get back to like what kind of games you're hoping to play or.
I mean, I pretty much expressed a long time ago the games that, like, when during the first announcement of the PS4, I'm definitely looking for Watch Dogs. Beyond Two Souls, which I know those two games will be coming out on the PS3, but I'm not thinking about purchasing that for the PS3. I definitely want to play Infamous Second Son. So I mean, I'm straight up action adventure.
Okay.
But those are the games I'm definitely looking for. I mean, I know there's going to be. I am kind of interested in what is the guy's name? He made Braid.
um,
He has like an interesting puzzle game coming out, which it was kind of televised during the presentation. I'm looking forward to play that. I'm not sure exactly what he's going with that game, but I mean, with this Xbox One thing coming out, like indie games are probably going to be the next big thing for PS4 now. Because I don't know if you heard that, but with Xbox One, like all the indie games now, like you got to pay a heck of a lot of money just to get it validated.
well, I mean, before they were doing that, they were doing exclusivity deals, which is, you know, if
But
you're gonna,
that's better than paying a buttload of money that you
well,
probably don't have, especially if you're an
yeah,
indie
both of them
gamer.
are bad, but the exclusivity thing, like, one of the things you got to picture is, like, if you're making a game and, Xbox comes along and they say, well, you can only put it on our system, that's not the same thing as, like, we'll help you and you can do what you want with your game, because the thing about games is, like, if you're an indie game developer and you want to make the most money from something, it's in a game developer's interest, if they have the ability to do it, to put it on every console and PC, you know, um, whether that's a port or whatever. If you limit any of those kind of things, it's always going to be a negative for them, because it's kind of saying, like, hey, you're going to be exclusive to us, and there's nothing you can do, and let's cut your market to 1/3 because we don't want you to share it with Sony. We don't want you to share it with Nintendo.
Which I mean
So,
that definitely makes sense, but in terms of if I'm an indie gamer developer and I've been trying to get my game out there for 3 years, or I've been working on my game for 3 years, and I want to get it out there as soon as possible. If Sony or Microsoft says, okay, we'll help you get it out there, but it has to be exclusive to us, for let's say 5 years or 7 years or whatever, I'm okay with that
hmm
because if my game will speak for itself, and his game did. Like I don't own an Xbox 360, but I heard a lot about Braid
hmm
from my friends who do, and from like other gaming news sites. Like I've heard about it, so his game definitely spoke for itself.
well, understand too that Sony was, like, actually putting their money where their mouth is. Sony's been very big on supporting indie games, and I think that even with the getting away from the cell processors and stuff, from the current generation, for going forward, making it more of a PC architecture. Um, I think they're both trying to answer to making them easier to develop for.
Hmm.
Now, I can't speak to, obviously everything comes into play later with licensing and, you know, uh, even putting stuff across from different country boundaries and stuff like that. Having the kind of the jurisdictional restrictions placed on games. I know that's one of the things that drives Dante nuts. Even without all that, I mean, you gotta, if you want these small, you know, gaming companies to just come out of nowhere with just the most creative ideas possible, you've got to do everything you can to spur that. And those are how great games are born, because these are people that are, like, thinking outside the box. They're not just going to go make a shooter and try and compete with Call of Duty. They're going to make something where you're um, some unique beast, where the gameplay isn't to just kill everyone and you know find the hidden treasure or whatever. It's going to be something completely different, and that's how creativity is born. It's letting people think outside the box, because that's how like the Little Big Planets and stuff are born. That's how it goes on to be a bigger and bigger game, and can become a series and become something completely new for everyone to try to emulate and do it even better. So Sony's definitely, in my eyes, I think they're much more supportive of indie games than
Well, they
anyone.
definitely are now. I mean, I think they kind of saw where it can go, like with the games like Flower and stuff on the PSN. Like that was a huge indie game.
Mm.
So and Journey, like they're definitely not stupid. They definitely saw where they can make some extra money at. But what games are you looking for towards the PS4 generation?
Well, I'm just looking towards, some of the final titles on the PS3, hoping that, if they are out on the PS4 also, because let's face it, some of these could change between now and then. They could end up coming out on both.
Hmm.
That they don't slack off on the quality on the PS4 version, um, or vice versa. But I would say, my interests right now, I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs myself, um, The Last of Us. At least I would say I was until I played the demo. I'm kind of lost a little bit of steam there.
What happened?
Well, it wasn't what I was expecting. And we could talk more about that if you want, but
Yeah.
my game list, Beyond Two Souls. I want to reach back at some that have come out. Far Cry 3, I'm waiting for that to come down in price. That's another thing. When you go and buy the games that have been out and used copies, not only am I not getting my trade-in value, but, oh my gosh, the prices are still... Far Cry 3 was like $55.
Whoa, that's been out for a while.
I know. That was a used copy, brother. Used copy at my local game shop here. $5 less than a brand new copy.
The thing, I mean, the thing about GameStop, which I'm sure they know and we know, like it won't be around much longer.
hmm
I don't think it'll definitely be. I mean, with the way that they're doing their pricing and all that, I don't think they're going to be around much longer. It's just the sucky part is we gotta wait for a better option. And is it going to be a better option? Like it made it to be a different option.
People aren't buying too many games right now. I can say that like I've been there. They don't seem as busy as like they were a year ago. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of people I think waiting to see what happens with the consoles. Even this time of year, obviously now people school's out. That kind of stuff's changed a lot of stuff in America where kids are doing a lot of other things. There's not a whole lot of games targeted for summer like there are for the holiday season, but
I
it's
mean, even
still,
beyond. I
you
mean,
can
yeah,
see
you
it. You
got
can see the
that,
difference.
and then even beyond that, it's like I don't have any kids, but gas is $4 right now. I need to get to work to. I'm basically working to pay for gas to get to work. I don't have an extra $55 to buy a game that's been out for 5 months.
hmm
So hopefully I do. I have like a whole list of what I need to hear from, or what I want to hear from Sony during the E3. But one of them is I got to hear what this whole Gaikai thing is, because if that's going to be a better option for me, then that's something I want to hear about right now. Like,
Yeah.
but
I'm
we'll
sure
have
we'll
to
know
wait
more at
and see, of
E3.
course. Hopefully. But yeah,
Yeah.
about Last of Us. So what happened with that?
Well, let me finish my list here too, because GTA 5's on there.
Mhm.
Ghosts, even though I'm kind of anti Treyarch at this point. I love Infinity Ward. Ghost looks good, looks awesome. I want to play it.
I heard Whoopi did amazing in it.
Might reach back for Tomb Raider. That was another one. Tomb Raider, Far Cry 3. I still have to finish Mass Effect 3. Black Ops 2. I still need to really finish ranking up. Some DLC just came out for that again too. I got the first DLC, but I don't know if I'm going to buy any more.
Mhm.
And Rage, of course, I just got that I'm working on. So, yeah, I mean, really my big titles, I think, coming GTA 5, Ghosts, Beyond Two Souls, Last of Us. Those were my 4 for the year, throughout the rest of the year. Watch Dogs is up there, but not in my top 4. It's probably my 5th if I go down that far. It depends on how busy I am. That comes out in, November? Beyond Two Souls will come out in October. Ghost will come out in
Yeah.
November. Probably still be playing GTA 5 from September since it's, the last time when I got my plat in GTA 4, it felt like I played it like every day for 6 months to get it,
Mhm.
get through the grind. So, I don't know. I guess it just depends on like what my time scale is for beating some of these games and before I get tired of them. But yeah, I played The Last of Us demo, and I would say like I was disappointed. The graphics didn't look so refined. It it struck nothing with me like other Naughty Dog stuff. Like Uncharted, man, just looked amazing. I love Uncharted 2 and 3's just the look and
Mhm.
the gameplay. And so I started playing The Last of Us, and I kind of expected some of that, but it was more like dark and kind of like fuzzy, like you're going through the water, and like the graphics just kind of didn't look right. It kind of looked all like edgy, and then like the movement and stuff was kind of sluggish. Like I was trying to like run and stuff, and it's kind of like you're just kind of like hopping along. Um, it's got that whole camera control thing kind of seemed out of whack with a lot of like you're going up something and the way your camera moves. You can't jump. As far as I know, there was no like jump button at all. You could climb things. You could go up to things and climb things. But
Hmm.
absolutely no jump button. No anything. No like physical tactics. No crouch behind something. No roll. No any of that. No rolling to roll up into a ball and go behind cover and shoot
So
from
it had
behind.
like those, it had like Resident Evil control, where it's like
Um,
super stiff.
yeah, yeah. And see, and if you're going back to Resident Evil 4, I love that game. That's probably my favorite game of all time, believe it or not. But with this, just with the whole dynamic of the whole climbing, dropping down, fighting, it just felt like it felt so limited. Now it did have a lot of menus and stuff where it looks like you can create weapons. You can take like a pipe and like strap scissors and things on it and make like your own unique weapons and things and
Mhm.
make Molotov cocktails or whatever. It looks like you can do a lot of stuff with that, but really you're just talking about selection of things because like when I first saw the first video trailers and stuff that were out, what did you see? You saw Joel like sliding around and like slamming people's heads on desks and walls and
But
sweeping
that
their
wasn't
sweeping
actual
their feet.
gameplay, was it?
Well, even if it's not, I mean, are we gonna be limited to like you can bash someone in the head, punch them, or shoot them with a gun from a standing or a crouched position? That's pretty boring, man. That's pretty like that's not that's not it doesn't feel like innovation. And if it gets to that point where I get the game and it's like that demo and that demo represents it, I'm probably not gonna like it
Mhm.
because I want it, even if it's random where it's like I'm doing different kinds of attacks and I want to be you know not the same move over and over again. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
do so much to make your background unique and like maps unique and all this other stuff. Well, how about like it's not just the same shoot, punch, move motion? How about you know randomly it'll do things like you'll elbow somebody instead of punching them. You know, um, that kind of thing. Like I don't know. I just like to see more out of it. I had high expectations from seeing some of the fight stuff in the initial trailers. So I don't
Yeah, I
know.
see what you mean. It's just, I mean, I just never take, and this is like lessons that I learned from like Final Fantasy commercials when I was younger. Like I just never take cutscenes for actual gameplay.
Yeah,
So if I see them do something amazing during a cutscene, I'm never like, oh, I'm gonna do that when I'm gonna play the game. No, I'm just like, that was nice to see, but show me the actual gameplay of what the graphics will look like, what the controls will probably be like. That way I can get a better sense of if I want the game or not.
yeah. Well, I mean that was my initial thoughts on it, and I was just kind of like, yeah, you know. I mean, if
Hmm.
that was all cutscene stuff, I don't know, because this demo was pretty lame. Watching the game, I was ready to this is a 10 out of 10 title for me.
Right.
Playing the demo, I'm like, I'd give it a 5.5, a 6 maybe.
Mm. That's pretty brutal.
I know. Um, that's just my feeling. It's my honest feeling. I'm really enjoying Rage. That was a game that I passed up, and I mean, it's got unique weapons and everything in here, and same kind of thing. You can craft stuff. You know, driving, racing, car car assault. Assaulting other cars. It's
Hmm.
like I want something like that. I don't want just The Last of Us to look pretty and just be sluggish and play like crap. I just do not want that. That'll break my heart.
Well, hopefully it won't. I mean, this is a demo, which I mean, technically, if you're gonna put out a demo, you should put your best foot forward.
See,
But
that's
I
what I
mean,
said. A
maybe it
lot
was
of people are
just,
like, it's still being developed and everything. A lot of people are like, but I'm like, it's a demo. Put it out there. Have it polished. Have it.
yeah. Well,
Ugh.
I mean, this you can only hope that it was just like a misstep on their part for their demo. Not saying that that's smart, but I'm just saying that's the only thing you can hope for. And because I mean, a 5 out of 10 is pretty brutal, at least for like a new game. Like I'm not gonna buy a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, put it this way. I went and I pre-ordered The Last of Us, paid for it completely,
Mm.
um, and then played the demo that night, and I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, that sucks.
so, so, it's kind of like maybe I did them in the wrong order. Maybe I jumped a little too quick.
Well, and that's where Craigslist comes into play.
Yeah,
You
I'm
can
hoping to
buy it
copy
and
it
then
last
take
year.
it home and put it right online.
If I pop the plastic off, is it going to be, only worth $10?
Nah, people don't care. People do not care at all. So, in terms of E3, I mean, E3 is coming up. What exactly do you want to hear from? We can just do Sony if you want, or what do you want to hear from Sony and Microsoft, or Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo? Like, what are you looking for to hear about their next generation of gaming?
Well, I'd like to hear more about Gaikai from
Hmm.
Sony. I'm really particularly interested in seeing if there's going to be backwards compatibility and how that's going to work, if it's going to be a subscription, if you're going to be able to, if you've purchased content on PS3, if that'll somehow with the store transfer over where you can play it, via the Gaikai service, because I really do believe that they're going to come with backwards compatibility. Sony hasn't promised that, and they said that, doesn't, it's not console possible. They have no plans to do that. But they haven't left out, the Gaikai, which is the streaming of any of those games, all the way back PS1, PS2, PS3.
Right.
It's just a matter of like how's that system going to be structured? Because you could do a $30 a month kind of thing, and you could have access to every game. They could do something crazy like that. Kind of like a subscription service where you can do that, or so many games where it's like, okay, I'll pick 3 PlayStation 3 games to play this month that I can stream through Gaikai. Um, or it could be that system, like I said, where it's what you've bought, or it could even be a rebuy system where it's like, well, now you got to buy it again so you can play the online, download, the streaming copy of it. So there's a number of different ways that system can work, and I'm interested in that. Also wanting to know more about the whole video sharing thing, like what they have with the plans with the PS4 i.
Hmm.
Um, will that incorporate into any other kind of motion controls and stuff for games, or will it be, because I mean they could potentially come out with something too with voice and everything to control your system, just like Xbox is doing. Um, you
Which I
know,
hope they don't.
I actually hope they don't too. But it would
Yeah.
be nice if there were some things where you could, set it up maybe where if you're in camera mode where maybe you can move stuff around on your screen, maybe something along those lines. Voice chat would be good to be able to say like, hands free, like
Hmm.
mute mic. those kind of things, or call so and so that you can get them on the mic or something like that. That would be nice. Simple little things like that are for gamers that kind of take a little bit of the pressure away from filing through, menus while you're trying to play a game. And then I'm also interested how the downloads are going to work with stuff like, that they've been bragging about the whole, download 10% of something and then you can just start playing it. How's that going to work? Is that going to screw up a lot of game developers to make like the first things that you start playing being something lame to make that possible? Or are you going to actually have just normal games fit into that? And then lastly, I'm wanting to know a little bit about the controllers and the prices with controllers. Of course, the price of the system. Are the controllers going to be, $60? They're going to be $100? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Is the system going to be? I think it's going to be a little bit higher price than what most people are assuming. All these things are important. They really are. And the games, I'm really not concerned about the games. It's cool to see what's coming, but the other thing too is just like a lot of the, it's like showing Call of Duty Ghosts for Microsoft. It's not an exclusive to them. I don't get why. Well, I get why, but it's not something that like entices me. It's not press conference material. It's kind of like, it's a game someone else is developing. It has nothing to do with Microsoft.
It's like
why are
we
you
knew you were
showing
going to have
someone
a
else?
Call of Duty.
It's like having a press conference for Nintendo, and it's like, well, now we're going to let EA's talk, or we're going to let the makers of the games, we're going to let them talk. It's like, what about the system? Show us, I can see showing some footage on your system.
That could be something where they didn't have like an actual exclusive available. Like maybe they don't have an exclusive for the Xbox One during the launch. Cause maybe that's why they did, oh, by the way, we have a Halo TV series. Because that is exclusive to Xbox, Halo. So I feel like they didn't have anything available at that time. So they were just like, well, you guys are all going to like Call of Duty anyway, so here it is.
Yeah, and it's like they have that exclusive TV / video game thing that they're doing, and you watch it and you're like, you have no idea what it's about, made no sense. Like showing this little girl like touching someone's ear, and then a boat crashes into a bridge, and you're like, no, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, even that, if that's an exclusive, it's like, where's the details? What is it? What's it look like? Show us something to explain how powerful the next generation's graphics are. Sony had a thing at their press conference where they showed like millions of all these little
I remember
things the little, just dropping down, and it's like,
the little cubes.
Yeah, it was like, this is how much it can handle and all that, and you're like, okay, see, that's important to see that. And then the other thing is like, announcing all these things like, you get exclusive content for this, exclusive content for that. It's kind of like also the same kind of thing. It's like, who cares? Microsoft coming out and saying, you'll get the content before everyone else. What is that really? They're paying. Now let's think about this. They're paying to have it delayed on other systems. If Sony came out and said, you're going to get it first, you're going to get Call of Duty stuff first, we're paying millions of dollars, and you're going to get it first. And you're kind of like, is it coming out early? No, we're paying so that it's delayed on every other system. You've got to sit there and, like, what is that about?
That's actually a huge gamble in my mind. To me, that's a huge gamble, and it also kind of says, like, it kind of speaks to the strength of your system if you have to pay to delay it on other systems.
Well, it just speaks to, like, just, if you really think about it, it's just a nasty tactic. I would not want, if I was running a company and they said, hey, let's pay millions of dollars to have this content delayed on Sony, I'd be like, why?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What do we get out of it? So you can say that it's exclusive early content. It's like people aren't smart enough to figure that out and figure out, like, you're just paying to have it delayed elsewhere. All you're doing is hurting people that or waiting longer for the Sony. And then there's more time for all the bugs and stuff to be worked out. So then technically they have the potential to get a better product because it's like, oh yeah, we messed up on that when we put out the Xbox version. We've had a month
That's
to fix
true.
that. Here's the disc, and here it runs smoother, and there you go. With all the updates are sorted, and just the whole thought about those kind of things, the way they present it, um, you know, and all of them do it. Sony does it. Sony does a little bit of it. I think yeah, I'm looking forward to see if Sony launches an actual decent advertising campaign and stays with it. That's the other thing. That just speaks
What do you mean
to.
by that?
I think it goes back to just general good business sense. Sony is so large and so diversified and has such strong Japanese connections that
Ties.
they typically, I think they forget about America, how America works. We're very advertising centric country. A lot of people put stake in the things that you see it on TV and it's demonstrated, and people want to, they don't just buy it because it's hey, it's PlayStation, plays games. It's like, I want to see it. What games? What That's very visual. You know, and having characters and having like theme songs, all this kind of stuff. And you look throughout Sony's history, and it's been like mascots. There's no, like you've got other systems that'll have like Super Mario, and it'll have, you know what I mean? There's like you can identify things.
I see
PlayStation
what you mean, but
doesn't
it's
have
it's
that.
almost. I see what you mean, but I mean, I feel like for PS3 they kind of came a little late in the game. They did try different advertising methods. Like they had the one where they had the PS3 in like the middle of like an all white room, and then just explodes with like graphics and color. And there was one with some demonic baby that I remember. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
And
crying
then
guy in the tub and like what, all that weird.
yeah, like they had like this weird like artsy period, and then they went to for like a mascot. They kind of turned to Sackboy.
Yep.
As like the mascot. Like they kind of came late in the game. I do see what like Xbox has like Halo and yada yada yada. But I think for PS4 they may do something a little a tad bit different. I think they're more prepared now. Like they took all the mistakes from last generation and they improved on them. Like
Hmm.
they definitely fixed them. So I think they're prepared. I
I
understand
don't I
what you
don't
mean.
believe for a second they are. I think that they have to get on a solid track and stick with it. They've changed their motto. They've changed their concept for advertisements where they've had different spokespeople. They've never followed through on any of them. They've had games or game related things where they throw like PlayStation All Stars where they have all the people in there. Um,
Yeah, that was kind of a flop.
all these things. It's just like different direction, different direction, different direction, and then it's not solid. I've seen a lot more Xbox commercials than I have PlayStation, and at least they're consistent. At least they're like they show some game footage and stuff, and then it's kind of like only on Xbox, even though it's usually not only on Xbox.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think that they just need to get on like some kind of track. They need to come up with a good spokesperson or a character that represents the PS4. Put out some games for it.
So who would you choose?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Sackboy or something like that is a good representation of it. And maybe going forward, if they're going to be putting out new games, just keep having him change iterations, and maybe um, having these racing for carts and stuff like that for that version of the game that comes out. Maybe if it's something where um, even if it's in the future, there's plans for Little Big Planet 3. Then just kind of say that, build some excitement, have him show up in kind of everything, have him trying to play different games on the PlayStation, just have him as a mascot.
Yeah, but I think you gotta kind
Give
of
him a
look at it.
voice.
I
Give him,
mean,
something
at least with
unique.
me, I don't care to see Sackboy at all. I mean, at least with any consumers like me, I already made up my mind. I'm gonna get the PS4.
Hmm.
I don't need to really see all your commercials. I do want to hear more about it. I do want to see any exclusives you're gonna have, but I don't need to see like commercials or if you're gonna have a mascot or not. Cause that to me is kind of like this old school advertisement. Like you mentioned Super Mario, then with Sega
Sonic.
they had Sonic, and it's kind of like we gotta evolve with the systems. You can and maybe that's what Sony's trying to do. I mean, because you can have the same advertising tactics every time you have a new generation. I do want them to get some type of baseline where it's like, okay, we're at least going to have the same slogan, for all of our game systems, blah blah blah, moving forward. But I think even doing that is kind of like putting yourself into a corner where if you say something like, PlayStation is yada yada yada, then you have to keep that for every single generation moving forward. For every single game that you put out, it has to come back to your slogan. At least I feel. So if they don't want to box themselves in with advertisement, that's perfectly fine. Just keep it interesting. Um, with
Excuse me.
me and things that I want to hear from E3, it was basically very similar to what you said. I mean, I definitely want to know more about the games. I definitely need to know what they're going to do about the price. There was a rumor that I read today. It was from, which the freakiest thing. It was like in like the Wall Street Journal, I think, or one of those financial newspapers. An analyst said that, and basically this guy he just predicts what the price of products may be. He said that it'll probably come out with a price tag of $349.99.
Hmm.
Which, if that's the case, I'm more than willing to pay for that on the launch day. I want to know what they're going to do about the used games, which you mentioned Gaikai. I want to see the actual console.
Yep. Well, that's a given. That's going to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it definitely needs to happen.
what
And
about
then
PlayStation Home? Have you had any experience with that? That's something else I'd like to kind of find out what's going to happen with that, if it's going to transfer over.
I'm not a big
Just my thought, I
PlayStation
think.
Home person, but I do want to know if like if PlayStation if the PSN is going to remain free.
Yeah.
I can play online multiplayer, and I also want to know what's going to happen with people who subscribe to the the PSN Plus,
Hmm.
because how they're going to change that over from like the PSN for PS3 gamers to PSN
Should
for
all be the
PS4
same.
gamers.
It should all be the same.
Hopefully, it should be, but I mean, there has to be something different.
Yeah, I can't see
That's
that
that's just going to
making.
come from that.
You probably have
But
different controls and probably have some extras on PS4, but I would think PSN would largely remain the same. And
yep. And real quick, 'cause we're actually about to close up the show here. But um, there is a website for E3 that accidentally leaked the list of games for Sony that will be showing this year. So I'm pull that up.
sure.
Games that will be showed according to the list that was leaked. If you go to the website now, it's no longer there, but you can find the cache of it, and someone did post it online. So Beyond Two Souls, Drive Club, EverQuest Next, Gran Turismo 6, Infamous Second Son, Invisimals, The Alliance, and Invisimals, The Lost Kingdom. That sounds like a kid game, perhaps.
Yep.
Killzone Mercenary, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack. That's the game by Jonathan Blow. That's his
Okay.
name. I remembered. Knack, Planetside 2, Puppeteer, Tearaway, The Last Guardian, The Last of Us, Until Dawn. That is a game I'm excited about. I forgot about that. It's a survival horror game, which you can go to Sony.com and look at the trailer. It looks insane. Warrior's Lair and Wonderbook Digs Nightcrawler.
You should post all that. Post that on the forums. Let people know.
Yeah, I am. I definitely am.
We can try and get some
But
video footage too up on the front pages too. If you remind me, we can see
okay.
what we can find in terms of that. That's
Yeah, and
interesting.
those are the games that should be featured next week.
Just need an advertising campaign now. It only does everything. Long live play, make believe. What's all the other ones?
I don't know. I mean,
Where's
I kind
Kevin
of like
Butler when you need him?
I kind of like long live play. I rather. I mean, that was nice.
Yeah, it's just
But
too many things.
you know, tell us what you guys think about what you want to see from E3, or if we already mentioned everything you want to see. I definitely want to hear from you guys in the forums. I will be posting actually the list in the forums under all things E3, which was once again done by 50 quid. So thank you, 50 quid for that. And as you can see, I'm looking in the forums for all the interesting topics. So if you have something interesting to say or an interesting topic, definitely put it in there so we can talk about it on the Trophy Lounge. And maybe we can actually bring you on so you can talk about it since you will be the author of that forum. So Kryptonite
Yep.
Dragon, where can we get in contact with you?
On the site, admin at TrophiesonPSN. Also, I want to mention, look forward to, we'll try to put a feed in there where you can actually watch E3 feed, see things. I'm going to be watching it live,
Okay.
some way, shape, or form. And, it'll be a good place to also, spill your comments out as it's going through. And, of course, we'll probably do at least a show on the Sony portion of that. We're looking at trying to do that. It may end up being actually Tuesday morning, unless you want to join me for that, because I believe Dante's got exams. Plus, with the time difference, it'll actually be very late at night before that's over.
You said Tuesday morning?
Well, it'll be Monday night. I think it's going to be like 5 o'clock our time. By the time it's over, it would be like 2 a.m. or something like that for him.
Okay,
So
that will work
if you're
out
able
for
to join
me.
us Monday night,
Yeah.
we can do a broadcast at least about Sony's press conference, and then look forward to that live broadcast link being on Trophies on PSN. So
All right. And if you want to get in contact with me, once again, you can email me or anyone from the news team at news at trophiesonpsn.com. And if you want, you can also find me on Twitter at IDP for life. So that's our show. Once again, we are officially 5 episodes old.
5
And I will
episodes
see
deep.
you guys next week.
All right, take care.
Later.